DM Scotty's TILESCAPES, the isometric terrain system. Craft them all. Wow your friend.
Hey crafters, welcome to TILESCAPES, episode 2. I was really happy with the reception of TILESCAPES. A lot of people were excited about the possibilities. And so we're going to jump right in and we're going to start talking about how to make this stuff. The first thing we need to think about are the tiles themselves, because that's kind of the base that everything goes around, right? And I want to show you the material I use to make these tiles. And the material is this cork. Okay, now this is probably the most expensive part of the project. This cork, there's 4 boards in here, and this was $10. You can get these in cheaper than that, but this one was $10. Now generally I cut them into quarters, or sometimes even more if I want. So you're going to get quite a few tiles out of this pack. But yeah, it's definitely the most expensive. You could substitute by using cardboard and that kind of thing. But when we go to this table, I'm going to talk about why I really like using this cork. Okay, so let's hit the table. I'll show you how to prepare the cork, get it ready for your TILESCAPES, and we'll talk about the uses for this and why it's so good for TILESCAPES. So I'll see you at the table.
Hey crafters, here's my cork tile. It's a 12 by 12. I've measured it with a ballpoint pen into 6 by 6 squares. Okay, so quartered it. And but you could make any size shape you want. Here's a picture of different sizes, 2 by 6 and 3 by 3s. You could even do more of these different variations if you want. So now I've damped this a bit for a few minutes, and it's going to make it a little easier to cut because the cork can tend to crumble a little bit when you cut it, but if you damp it, that helps. And remember, we're going to reinforce these, so if they crumble a little bit on the edge, it's okay. So just be careful when you cut them. Wipe off that excess cork there. Just finished cutting these out. All right, some nice perfect 6 by 6 squares. All right, now I want to reinforce these, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some water on them. Okay, damp them first, and then put some white glue on top of that. And then I'll work it in with the brush. Make sure to get the edges. All right, now we'll let that dry. Okay, now that's dry to the touch, we're going to do the other side. All right, so same deal. We'll just damp the cork, put some white glue on it, work it in the brush, get the edges. All right, now both of these are dry to the touch on both sides, but they tend to hold moisture, so they can curl up a bit while they finish drying. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a weight on these, and I'll just put another board on there and a couple notebooks, and that'll hold these down, keep them flat, and I'll let this sit for a day and they'll be ready to go. While that's doing, I can make the stamp. Now I've done stamps before, but people have had problems, so I'm going to go step by step on this. So I'm just going to make a basic grid on this stamp. And this is a 3 by 3 stamp I just cut out of dollar store foam core and pulled the paper off the one side, of course. So I'm going to measure out the grid here. And these are inch squares. All right, so that's ready to go. So you can do all different kinds of cool designs. Here's some examples to show you what you can do. I'm just doing a basic grid here. So I'm going to use this carving tool first, and I'm going to carve into the foam core. I'm not going all the way through. I don't want to go all the way through to the paper, but I want to make gouge into it enough so it's that the line is very pronounced, right? Okay. And then I'm going to use a ballpoint pen and kind of widen that up a bit. That'll kind of go in that groove and just widen that up a bit so it'll give a nice stamp. So there we go. The trick is to make these grooves wide enough that they'll stamp nicely, right? Okay, so here it is. I've got a tile. I spray painted it black, and I've already stamped 3 times on it. I'm going to do the last stamp here. And I'm just using a few different colors. And I want to line it up with the other pieces on this tile, and then put nice even pressure on the stamp. And there we go. Perfect. So we'll let that dry. So let me show you again. Here's another stamp. and put some paint on it. You want to put enough paint that you get a nice stamp, but not too much that you're gumming up all the detail on the stamp itself. Then line it up with the other pieces there. Nice even pressure. And voila, stamped. So easy. Okay, now here's the standard grid. I've got 3 different colors here, and you want to add these different colors to give some nice color variation. The cork itself gives a nice texture variation. So that's what's cool about this technique. You don't have to put any kind of texture on these stamps. The cork itself will do that for you. Alright, so line it up. Nice even pressure. And voila! Nice. So easy and so quick. Cool. Alright, now some of the lines can, sometimes when you stamp won't be as pronounced as you want, like that center line. So I'm going to just paint on here with some watered down black. And see, that just fixes that right up. So any of these tiles that you have a problem with like that, you can just paint a little bit of black in there and fix the problem. Now I'm going to use a smaller brush, oops, that's a little wet there, and put some cracks in these, just some more detail. And you can do anything like this on these tiles. They take paint really, really well. Alright, sweet. Looking good. So here's another one I did. It's the sandstone one. There's some muddy areas on there, so I'm going to kind of fill those in with some black, just to kind of make the details pop out. And like I say, you can do this with any stamps. If you overstamp a little bit, you can fix it very easily like this. So easy, easy. So that looks really good. And even doing this, the work to do this is very little. A lot less than actually doing it with in foam core, the whole thing out of foam core or something. Just stamping is so easy. And here I'm just pronouncing these lines because I put some highlights on the tile with the light gray, and some of it got in the cracks, so I'm fixing that. So just nice. You can have so many variations, cobblestone and wood, just great. Here's even different designs on just a standard 1x1 squares. Just makes it so much different. And this is an interesting pattern I did. So just so many cool designs. And here's the sandstone with different shapes and sizes.
Alright friends, I'm ready to show you my box of tiles for TILESCAPE. I like to use these plastic bins to keep tiles in so they're easy to see. But look how many I've got in here. I've got all different types, all different colors, configurations, sizes, that kind of thing. Now let's talk about the good things about the TILESCAPE tiles. Okay, one is, since they're made from the cork and they're soaked in glue, they're stiff. You're not going to have the wobbling, the bending, and that kind of thing. You're not going to put it on the table and it's going to be all bent up. So that takes care of that problem with the glue on the cork. Now another thing is the texture built into the cork itself. So when you stamp, you don't have to put texture actually on the stamp. You just make the design, and when you stamp it, it makes these very individual because there's different texture on these cork tiles, and it makes it so it has a lot of nice texture. Also, they're double-sided, so unlike traditional 2.5D, you can do it on both sides. You can have a different design on both sides and get double duty out of these. And you can also set them up in any way. You can set them diagonally, partial together, that kind of thing, where 2.5D would be very hard to do that. Since the walls are there, they hamper you. You have to put them in a certain configuration. But with these, you don't. You can put them in whatever configuration you want, mix and match, and that kind of thing. These tiles, this cork actually takes paint very well, so I don't have to worry about the paint coming off or anything like that. It's very sturdy. The paint looks great, and I've got so many different styles in here. I think you've seen some of these as I was showing you. These look at all those different styles, and I've got double duty on both sides of these tiles, so I've got double what you're seeing here in the box. as far as style choices. So there you go. I'm really enjoying these tiles for Tilescape. And then we use the isometric way to build up the edges. So you can see the edges, the fronts. You can do certain walls, doorways, archways, that kind of thing to give it that 3D feel without the 3D clutter. So all right, there we go. Those are the tiles for Tilescapes. Next we will be doing fronts. And once we do the fronts, which are kind of like the Hollywood flats that they would do in front of buildings and there was an open building, that's kind of the idea I had. And so that'll be the start of this kind of isometric feeling to these tiles. And then we're going to add other things like windows, independent windows and doors and other things you can put on the edge to kind of simulate the wall that's actually not there. All right, so there you go. I hope you enjoyed this part of Tilescape. Next we'll be back for fronts, and I'll see you then. Hey, I hope you find these tips helpful. If you did, give your old DM Scotty a thumbs up, and that'd be a like. Also, check out my forum and Facebook group, a bunch of wonderful people on there. And if you do like these vids, consider tipping. There is a little tip thing on the video. You can click on that and tip directly to your DM Scotty. And if you want to go take it further than that, you can go to Patreon and become a supporter and a member of the family. I have a monthly magazine called The Crafter's Lair, which you'll have instant access to when you become a supporter. Take care. Have fun gaming.